my zone. Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't.
Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. A nice, very volatile last 24 hours. So we got plenty to talk about on good old Bitcoin. I'm sure everyone's question on their mind is, have we reversed? Are we going back onto all-time highs? 10,000x? No. 20,000? No. Scratch that, Krown. You're too fucking bearish. 100,000. End of day. Well, we'll be talking about that and more, of course. But before we get into that, I do want to remind myself to talk about the Twitch streams. I've been doing live streams on Twitch recently in lieu of not doing them on YouTube. I think it's just kind of the best workaround for this because we can focus directly on Bitcoin and relevant analysis here on these shorter videos, and then do the live stream fun stuff on the what's it called, on the Twitch live stream. So the link will be in the description of this video for my Twitch channel. It's just at Krown Crypto, I believe it is. So pretty damn self-explanatory. I'm pretty lackadaisical with putting up the notifications of the stream. Really fucking bad at that. But you know what? You already fucking knew that. As I typically try to post them on Discord and sometimes on Twitter, but the best way is to just join on there. Anyways, of course, and only if you want to, of course. You know, it's a live stream, so it's a very select few people who are actually even interested in that sort of thing. But we have a lot to talk about on Bitcoin, and like I said, before we get into that, I do need to remind myself as well to talk about an upcoming sale for the holiday season. And there's Elsa going. and with regards to that, if you're considering buying any of the programs, investing in any of the programs, definitely hold off for another about a week. No, not a week, a few days actually, as we'll be starting the sale on likely the 22nd and running it through the end of the year for the happy holiday season plus New Year's Eve and all that good stuff. So some more consumer holidays, of course, but you know what? Want to participate in that, and as always, you know, with those sorts of programs, make sure that they're relevant to you. Take advantage of the free content first. And I'll get into that whole spiel later when we actually do the fucking sale. So with that said, Krown trading applications coming out around the same time as Christmas. We are still very much on schedule. The Jewel is going to be coming out as well with it. And the base program, or sorry, the base functionality of the app is going to be 100% free and also available to all devices. That means iOS, Android, Windows 10, PC Master Race, Apple, if you so dearly have one, and all other devices are going to be available too. So really excited about that. And like I said, around Christmas time is where we're aiming for, and so far so good. So I think now it's time to actually get into the fucking analysis. So with that said, wishing the best, also the happiest as well. And let's talk about some Magic Internet money right now. So I'm gonna press that button and I'll. And there she is, Bitcoin on the 3-day once again. So I want to follow up from yesterday's video, right? Yesterday's video, we were saying, hey, Bitcoin's overall bearish, but how much more downside do we have on this current move? Probably not all that much. And what do you know? We find ourselves a nice local low in this territory in the low 6,000s. Not exactly where I was looking for, but at the end of the day, doesn't need to be exactly where I'm looking for. It just needs to be within the region, and this is why I was kind of taking off positions, taking profits on those shorts. I have no position right now, and looking at the 3-day as it stands, we're actually above that critical white 200 simple moving average right here. So the next closure of this is really key and critical to deciding if we are actually going to have a legitimate short medium-term reversal here, or if this is just another shakeout move before likely moving lower. Now, if we do end below the 200 simple, I strongly believe we will have a massive move to the downside. Next target would be down to the low 6,000 region, and then likely you know, down into the mid 5,000s region. But for right now, we are actually well above this 200 simple, and that is around around 69.50, we'll call it. On Stamp. So here's the thing. Unfortunately, the 3-day takes 3 days to populate itself, and we won't be getting a new one, so we won't be getting clarity on this situation until, let's look at the time right here. Yeah, until tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if we do close tomorrow's daily close above 69.50, I would be looking for extension of this, likely up towards almost 8,000 actually, probably like 7,800, 7,700 to 7,800, just anywhere around the 21 exponential moving average on the 3-day. We would have bullish divergence in place on the 3-day as well. Or actually we would not, but I'm sure that we'd have it on like a 2-day and a daily, which we'll get into a little bit later. And then on top of that, you know, we could work off there and realistically, make a beeline up until this next major resistance. I mean, it's all kind of fair game if that were to happen. Sorry, let me get a fresh chart here. Let's do some like this. Let's just go on all these highs that have been on this downtrend. And, anywhere within this region right here would be fair game. And technically speaking, Bitcoin's still kind of working on this falling channel right here. Although, is it directly parallel? No, it is not. Does it need to be directly parallel? I mean, you do want to see symmetry within the market. It does make managing risk on something like this very, very difficult for the people looking to buy the bottom. But but for now, it is working, I suppose. And more importantly, this next 3-day close is going to really dictate the pace of the market. If we do close below the 200 simple, again, 69.50 tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time, I strongly believe that we'll be going further down, maybe not like that day, but over like the next month or two, down at the very least to low 6,000. And then on top of that, I'd be looking for a move to about 5,500 at the very least before the next potential reversal point, and very, very strong likelihood for a bounce. And of course, there will be bounces along the way, but we're talking about longer term analysis right now. So that's a critical thing. Now let's go down to the lower time frames and kind of judge what's going on here. And let's speak a little bit towards the what's a good word for this? I want to be respectful here. The optimism in the market. Yes, the optimism within this market. So what have we done on that last move to the upside? This was a $1,000 move to the upside, by the way. Pretty damn impressive, but was it impressive enough? Is this just enough? Are people having such short-sightedness with the last few with the last few shakeout moves that once again, we're not really doing anything different? And is that true? Well, even on the more aggressive downtrend resistance that we've been working on ever since, what was this, middle of November, we're actually still living below that right here. And what are we doing in the greater context of things? Sorry, this chart's a little bit convoluted here. I'll pull everything off for a second. But what are we doing in the greater context of things? Well, we have hidden bearish divergence once again in place. We are massively above the RSI high from even our early December highs right here, which Bitcoin was well above current price action at about 75.50-ish region. And we are making higher highs on RSI and lower highs on price action. Yes, this is confirmed as a lower high right now, 4-hour, wicking off the 200 simple and 200 exponential moving average and then taking out the low of that. Well, I would consider this a lower high. So I do think that at the very least, we will come back down and test around 69.50-ish region, probably sometime today. And I don't really have any reason to even be short-term bullish more than what we've seen thus far until Bitcoin, gets a close above the 200 simple right here on the 4-hour at the very least, and that's at around 74.50, kind of the high of our rally thus far. Both these guys pretty damn important for the low time frame analysis. And while I do think that Bitcoin's gonna have a chance here, and I don't really have a strong opinion on whether this, does get continuation to the upside or does get rejected here and continues to the downside. Well, actually, I do think, the trend is your friend, of course, and the trend is down on all time frames. It's very, very telling to see this market get so optimistic off of this run right here, when realistically, we haven't even created an uptrend on any time frame that matters. And when I say a time frame that matters, I mean 12-hour plus. 12-hour is still in a downtrend right here. We're still making lower highs and lower lows. Daily is still very much in a downtrend as well. 2-day, obviously in a downtrend. Obviously, if those ones are going to be in a downtrend, then the higher time frames are going to be still in a downtrend as well. Again, that can change, but I always go with the former assumption until told otherwise. And as you can see right here on the 2-day, this is the best case, in my opinion, for an immediate sustained reversal. Is a 2-day, regaining the 200 simple and blue 3/7 exponential moving average right here. That to me is actually quite significant and does put, once again, back in kind of a nice base support. Where is that coming in around? 69.50. So that is such a critical area for this next 2 days of price action between the next 2-day close and the next 3-day close. If the 3-day close below there, this is going to get faded. We're going to see another shake. We're just going to see another failed shakeout, or successful shakeout attempt, because that's gotten everyone bullish once again. And I'd be looking for price action to come back down. What is going on here? How am I getting? All right, there we go. Okay, beautiful. Anyways, my point with this is that look at the charts. Still, very little has changed, and from a higher time frame perspective, nothing significant has changed until we get back above about 75.50 on, at the very least, a daily total closing basis. I mean, even a 12-hour would be would be kind of a massive deal. But Jesus Christ, man, take this market one step at a time, because it is, it's a long-term market, really. And looking at this right here, there's still heavy pressure down. So I'm certainly not of the opinion that Bitcoin's, fully reversed, after a move like this. We are still maintaining, all relevant downtrends and getting rejected at the exact areas that you'd expect. However, not a death sentence, and I would put the 100% importance on the next 3-day closure. If that closes above 69.50, I do believe that we will get another test of the upside, probably towards 75.50 at the very least, and and then realistically, like 78 to 8,000 is fair game as well. It would look like a sustained reversal at the very least for a medium and short-term play, and potential to lead on to the macro, but that is still very far away. So if we do end below, again, continuation. So I just wanted to show on the lower time frame, while we kind of flesh out the 4 hour, and you do notice that I do have a new indicator down here. This is BA's mom. This is Poy's mom. Love him, man. But I've been playing around with that one. I will probably start presenting it a little bit more regularly once I've had another like week or so to play with it. But for now, I'm actually going to take it off so we can save some space. And we do still see that not only do we have potentially hidden bearish divergence in the 4 hour in play, and I'd actually say that this is already confirmed, which likely does bring us back down to about 69.50-ish. But I'd also say that 4 hour Stokes coming back up to the same area that we typically do find some resistance in, around the edge of the bullish control zone. So a lot of the time you will see this as like a resetting of the oscillators. And in this case, I would be looking for some sort of a momentum play within this region. Remember, as long as we're getting rejected by the bullish control zone on these lower timeframes, this downtrend and the hidden bearish divergence on the RSI play very, very well together in calling these local tops. It's been the same way right here, and well, pretty much the whole way through the 8,000s as well. You see all these higher highs on RSI, price action making lower highs, and we get further downside continuation, of course. So I don't think that it's appropriate to call a reversal right here, right now. I think at the very least we'd have to wait another day, and then we could potentially have a very good short-term and medium-term reversal, which would very likely lead us up into the upper 8,000s. But for right now, it's not quite just there, and I do think that this is likely just another shakeout attempt as governed by the trend. I mean, it's very reminiscent of what we did over here. In fact, if we go back to the 3-day, if we go back to the 3-day, yeah, we had this test down to the 200 exponential moving average on the 3-day, and then quickly reverses back up. But remember, on the higher time frames, no higher highs are made. Same thing right on over here. And the reason why I put so much importance on this is we typically do chop around the 3-day 200 simple quite a bit, but it's massively important for judging the phases of which Bitcoin is in. And you do see that anytime we've broken it both to the downside or the upside, we typically do retest it a couple times and chop around it for a little bit before getting the next sort of flooding of price action. So for example, this guy right here, we break it right here, but we don't get an open and close. So it's not officially broken in my mind. And it's not until actually right here that we get an open and close below. We come back and retest it a few times, and then boom, massive price action to the downside. Same thing over here, tested a few times, get our first open and close right here, tested a couple more times over the next month and a half, and then boom, massive move to the upside, almost a 2x from that price point. And same thing back in the history of Bitcoin, back on over here. If we go back down to 2014 to 2016, you can see that we got our first close above here, but we don't get an open and close until this area right here, retested a few times, and boom, massive move up. And then same thing right on over here as well. So multiple ways to be using that, but the big thing with the 200 simple to me right now is that not only are we chopping around it, and in this case, a little bit, it would be the change of behavior here would be actually opening and closing to the downside, which would say that this is just getting started realistically. But also the 200 simple now has a negative slope on it, or if you want to be a little bit more conservative, you'd say at the very least it's flat here, as price action is, well, mostly down and downtrending. So it's not necessarily the same thing that we had over here, or even back in 2014, 2015. In fact, you do see that you will see that it was actually kind of counter to the overall trend, which would imply that if we actually do break it, meaning that we do confirm this next open and close below it, which again we're actually well above it right now, so we're about $200 above it right now, so it's actually a little bit less likely to happen. It would be insightful of much more downside, at the very least 5,500, like I've been saying, and I do still think that mid 4,000s is within the realm of possibility. But of course, as a trader, I always take everything just one level at a time. That has been, in my opinion, the best way to trade Bitcoin recently, or at least the best way to kind of keep your account safe, or at least my account safe, because it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but going back on over here, you do see that each and every one of these levels is is in my opinion a respectable level that Bitcoin could bottom at, including the one that we're on right now. We have not broken it just yet, but if we do open and close this next 3-day below again 69.50, which we'll confirm tomorrow, then we very likely will not hold up above this guy right here again. So until that actually officially breaks, I mean, there is potential that this is a reversal here, but if we do get rejected by the 3-day, I would be looking for the next move down here to provide the next flooding of price action down to like the 786. You can see that the volume profile is built up pretty damn big in this region, so it does make sense that we will wick off it a few times. Completely fine. It's going to be staunch support, of course, but that also means that if we actually do break it, well, it's a flooding of price action once again down to the next sort of area where people get interested in. In fact, directly in line with the measured move on this head and shoulders right here. So the measured move on that head and shoulders is going to be viable, is going to be valid all the way until we get back above the breakdown point of the neckline on the weekly. I'll just go to it right here. Let's see. Let me get off the volume profile. It's destroying everything. But as long as we're living below the neckline of the head and shoulders, which would be right around about 7,900 on a weekly closing basis, technically speaking, the measure move of this is still very much valid. It's also in line with the 886 Fibonacci retracement, as we just showed. It's one of the bigger, or one of the biggest actually, volume nodes down around here. Again, in the mid to low 4,000s. So that's kind of the way that I see price action. Again, going level by level. Do we technically have, or potentially have a low in here? Yes, but needs to confirm, needs to see at the very least a 3-day and then a weekly above, above those critical levels. 3-day above 69.50 would be a good start, and then a weekly above 75.50 would be an excellent continuation. And I'd probably be looking for a move back up to mid 8,000s if that were to happen. But as long as we're living below the neckline of this baby, the measure move is still very much valid, and that is quite nasty. So I won't go over the full long-term analysis during this video. If you want that, definitely go check out the playlist titled long-term analysis, as that will go fully in depth over there. But I do want to follow up on the Bitcoin VWAP ratio and show that, even with yesterday's move, actually, no, it hasn't populated yesterday's move just yet. But we have dipped down pretty damn hard on the blue, and it is slowly inching its way towards the purple. Again, I won't go through the full explanation of this. It's a little bit too long-winded for a video like this. But what I am trying to show here is that if we do get the blue below the purple, all below the pink, all below this regression that my cursor currently is kind of running through on this pane, that is when we do get not only our 70% retracements, which is good enough to just get the purple below the pink in the history, all 70% retracements. I'm talking about this guy right here, this guy right here, this guy right here, this guy right here, this guy right here. And yes, if you want to go through the long-term analysis video, we'll calculate those all out. And of course, this guy right here, which was actually a 90%. But the blue getting below all of those, that being the most reactive, does suggest the same sort of signature that we've seen precipitating not just a 70% retracements. Like I said, that's already good enough, but like at least another 6 months to a year of downside activity before any sort of potential reversal. So again, I do still think that Bitcoin's severely under pressure here, and even with this move to the upside, it's still a long trudge, and I would be happy to call a reversal on Bitcoin. I'd be happy to see a reversal on Bitcoin as well, just as a Bitcoin believer, but it needs to prove itself first. As just judging the trend on a fucking daily, we do not have any reversal of trend until we close back above about 75.50, 7,600. And that's, the daily is probably good, but the weekly is what governs the macro for Bitcoin. If the weekly starts creating higher highs, which at this point would be back above about 7,600, 7,550-ish region, closing above there, then we potentially do have, a little bit of an uptrend to play out. So it's still got a lot of work to do, but it is within the realm of possibility, and it's really just going to be a waiting game between now and tomorrow, and then of course the end of the week. Those are going to be the two next big puzzle pieces. But I would say that probably the next closure of the 3-day is going to be very telling. If we close below again 69.50, I'm going to be pretty damn bearish overall. Doesn't mean that I'm going to immediately look for Bitcoin to go back down to like 4,500, but over time, over the next few months, I probably would. And of course, thinking about that, said I wouldn't get into long-term analysis here, but we should go over the monthly just for a second and see how this one's shaping up. The monthly is, oops, let me put on my major movement averages. Here we go. Alrighty, there we go. And let's take off this volume profile. It's being all weird. All right, there we go. So Bitcoin on the monthly right here, we do see as we come closer and closer to the end of the month, we got another 11, 12 days. if we do end the month above the 21, which is 70.90, I would actually be willing to, it's like I would be willing to say, like, shut the fuck up, Krown. Sorry, got to call myself out when I'm sounding stupid. But if we do end the monthly above the 21, I would not look for that major flush in a price action. But these things are all likely to kind of work together, both the 3-day, the weekly, and the upcoming monthly. It's just, you know, we can only go so fast, you know, due to the time frame, due to like the limitations of time frames in general. But as it stands right here, this is also incredibly important for the macro. If we do break the 21, where's the next major area that I'll be looking towards? Well, the 55 actually, and where's that coming in around? You can see that it will crawl its way up into the mid to low 5,000. So it would align with that next major targeted area to the downside. And more importantly, we do see momentum oscillators turning down with it. We see monthly Stokes rejecting the bullish control zone and heading down from here, which is not a death sentence in and of itself. That's actually semi-expected to get a signature like that when you come into the bullish control zone for the first time after a while. But this is quite damning in my opinion. The monthly RSI coming all the way down here to test the bearish control zone, rejects it, pretty damn normal, pops back up to the bullish control zone, rejects it. That's red flag number 1. Then losing the exponential on this, that's big red flag number 2. And I do believe that we're at the very least going to come back down to the bearish control zone and probably get stuck in it. Very similar to what we saw on the weekly right here. Weekly RSI kind of doing the same sort of thing. You know, tests it right here, boom, up, rejects by the exponential, boom, down. So and they get stuck in the bearish control zone. So again, I do still think that Bitcoin is overall bearish here, but I would put overall importance on the 3-day, of course, above anything else. Looking at weekly Joule, still kind of getting the continuation signal, but is it, is it relevant to think that signal has mostly played out? Yes, you could make the case for that because you basically got another sell signal from here down here. That was a 17.5% move. It's pretty damn big, to be fair. But of course, that was more of like a continuation sell, like hold your shorts or reshort there from the big signal right here at about 12,500 all the way down here, which was like a 47.25% move. So both of those pretty damn important, but I do think that that secondary kind of like hodl your short signal that could have. I do believe that you could make the argument that that's already played out. So. Again, the next sort of big things for me are all the closures. I believe that all of the easy moves that we were looking for have already played out, and now it's kind of time to sit back and wait for the higher time frames to let me know what to do. Until then, lower time frame ranges are just that. I'm happy to be a scalper on the lower time frame ranges, but I'm not happy to be hodling positions from this region right now. That is not what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to kind of sit back and be a voyeur of price action. So yeah. Let's see. So we didn't really even flush out the lower time frames all that much. Let's go back down to a 3-hour. 3-hour has the same potential hidden bearish divergence going all the way back to 29th of November, which Bitcoin was putting in a high somewhere here at about 7,800. Again, I do think that is problematic, and we probably do come back down at the very least to like 6,950. 3-hour Stokes getting way up there along with 4-hour. Let's see what the 2-hour doing. 2-hour coming down right now, kind of from the same territory, and hourly are probably going to be doing about the same. Yes, indeed they are. So to me, this is likely just a reset here. We'll probably chop around in the early morning hours between this 7,100 base and like maybe 7,250, 7,300 region. But overall, with a volatility reading like this, especially even on the lower time frames, that does tell me that we likely have hit a local top here. So lower time frames probably do cool off and come back down, a couple $100. When your hourly historical volatility percentile gets this red, it's at extremes. And when you're at extremes at a major resistance, even on the lower time frames and confirming lower highs on lower time frames as well, I would say that at the very least we do come back down from that. So maybe like the next day or so of price action, we probably see that. But for right now, Bitcoin's still kind of resilient in this region, to be fair. And I would say that I wouldn't, technically speaking, I shouldn't trade for that downside move until we actually break at least a 200 simple on the hourly, which is 70, 50, 70, 60-ish region on Stamp, it looks like. So yeah, what else? Let's see. Do we still see historical volatility percentile very red on the 2-hour? No, in fact, it really takes a massive, shade of it off. So what would I say about this? Well, again, still within the overall greater context of things, we are expanding here, but maintaining a downtrend, which again, I mean, it's trend continuation most likely. 3 hour, still expanding. 4 hour, what do you know? It's still expanding. So I don't think that we've seen the end of the move just yet, but it is going to take a few days to really happen, I'd imagine. And of course, this can all I can change my mind completely on this if we do pop back up above and close like a 4 hour above 74.50. That would be the first warning sign that we're not going to be going back down. And then getting that confirming that 3-day close tomorrow above that critical number. That would be also the next sort of major piece of price action saying we likely do put in a major local low here and work off this for like a medium and perhaps even semi long term play. And can lead on over to the macro, of course. Let's see. What about the 12 hour? What is a 12 hour looking like? 12 hours is finally expanding as well, but the 12 hour is expanding in the context of a downtrend. Again, it is still very much a downtrend right here. You know, if we get a 12 hour closing back above the 55, that would probably be good area as well. Same thing as the 4 hour, essentially. It's basically the same area. So the market has great confluence with each other. But again, 12 hour has that same potential hidden bearish divergence in place. We haven't confirmed a local high here yet, but if we close this wherever we close this 12 hour dildo, as long as it's below, let's call it like 73, and then we take out the current low of it, which is currently 7,100, but it's too early to say that really because we've got another 5 hours and 31 minutes on it. Then it's going to be confirmed as another lower high. And well, I would be looking for that hidden bearish divergence to bring us back down, probably 68.50 on that one. So creating a nice little range for for a short-term trade. But again, that's all I'm interested in right now. Short-term trades. I'm not interested in any long-term things. Looking at 12-hour stochastics. Let's see. We are popping back up to meet this trend line. This trend line is conveniently coming in at the edge of the bearish control zone. So I would imagine that if they do want to take back control, that's around where they'll do it. So again, it's still it does imply that we still have like of this to really figure out what's going on, but things are in place here. So I do not think that this is over just yet. I think that we are still, heavily in the grips of a downtrend, and until we actually fully and formally reverse this on timeframes that actually matter, I would not be getting too excited about this just here. And again, this is coming from someone who wants to. I'd much rather Bitcoin be bullish than bearish. It's just this is what I do as a fucking living, man. It doesn't take too much skill to trade an up market, and I'll say that straight up, man. I'll say that straight up. Doesn't take too much skill to trade an up market. And in this case, I would, if I could have my choice between things being easier or more difficult, I'd much rather things be more easier, of course. But hey, have to call a spade, and let's look at the daily now. So daily stocks actually are popping back up, and I do like that. I do like that signature here. We do have some bullish divergence on a daily, and we also have potentially hidden bearish divergence on the making as well. So we got the easy move for bullish divergence. As soon as we took out yesterday's high at 69.3877, that was your free ride to the 21 right there. But maintaining above the 21 now is going to be the next big thing. So as long as we're below the daily 21, I'm still overall bearish. We're still in a downtrend right here. We're still just holding all the same areas. Nothing's really changed here. I want to go back in time as well and speak to the same sort of interlay that we've had between all these major moving averages. The last example that we have of a similar setup like this was back on over here in March, I believe this was. No, April of 2018. So Bitcoin really turned, super macro bearish around this region right here, where we got all lower periods on major moving averages trading below higher periods. On top of that, the white 200 simple right here started to get a downward slope, which all of these things put together is very, very damning. And then, of course, on top of that, price action got below all major moving averages right on over here, rejected by the 21 the whole way, and the downtrend was not over until the 21 was regained on a daily closing basis. And even then, it chopped around it for a little bit of time. So I do think that, if Bitcoin were to close back above the daily 21, that would be a good insight that we probably are setting in a good medium and semi-long-term low. And we probably will work our way back up, maybe even as much as like mid 8,000s. But even then, it still looks kind of nasty from a longer term perspective. But hey, this next piece of the market's gonna likely take its time, and we have a very, very similar signature going on right on over here. So I should explain that as well. We have all lower periods trading below higher periods, and you do see that this switches around pretty much after the death cross right here. We get the green 55 crossing below the purple 200. Same thing right here. We see the cyan 89 exponential moving average kind of be the last one to migrate below. Of course, it's it's below, the 89 below the 200, and then price actions below all major moving averages right here, getting rejected by the 21. Same thing as you see right in over here. Again, I'm not making the case that this is a fractal. I fucking hate fractals. I don't think that fractals are tradable, and I think that people looking for fractals are typically they're either analysts or wrecked. but maybe there's some guys out there who actually trade them and are very successful. If that's you, well then don't listen to what the fuck I'm saying. But hey, as long as we are below the 21, we are still trending in the way that I look at it, and we are getting more and more divergences between all of these major moving averages, which I've got the final piece of this. They all have negative slopes. Every last one of them. Same thing as you see right in over here. And again, just think about what a moving average implies in average of price action. If they're all sloped down, then that means we are trending down on all on all relevant time frames, and the 200 simple really starting to curl down now as well. So if we did have like a crazy run to the upside here, I do believe it would, like, at most it would get up to the 200 simple. Kind of similar to what you see right in over here, and until we get any sort of closes back above even the daily 200 simple, it is very difficult to be long-term bullish on this price action, and that would be and that can take its time. I mean, typically when we get above or below it on a open and close basis on the daily, it takes it it likes to take hold of the market for the for the foreseeable future. On top of that, so we're talking like 6 months plus of price action. So again, that's pretty much all the big things that I wanted to focus on here. It's already a 31-minute video. Jesus Christ. I'll probably be on Twitch after this, so we can do some more live analysis there. Do some video game playing as well. Good shit. But overall, I don't really see any reason to flip on the switch to being bullish just from seeing this price action right here. I need to see a little bit more. Again, like I said, I'd be happy to flip around to bullish. It would be great if I had a good enough reason to. But this this overlay, this interplay of all these major moving averages here tells me that this trend is actually still pretty damn hefty and has plenty of room to go. And we could rally up very, very easily and still maintain all of these nasty levels. I mean, look at the volume on this play. On this last play right here, this major girthy green dildo right here that we just set in. It's not even more than what we had on our last major low that we put in right over here. That just produced another failed rally attempt. Just lower highs the whole way through. Again, let the trend be your friend. Or I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I would say the trend is your friend if you let it be. And in this case, well, it's still doing what it does. So fair enough, man. Let's go check out CME, see how they're doing. Oh, and I forgot to check out the 2-day and 3-day momentum oscillators. So I'm sure that we probably do have some potential divergence plays in there. Let's see. That would also be good insight into what we're doing here. 2-day 200 simple, again, big area right here. Do we close this one tonight? No, we do not. It comes tomorrow night. So tomorrow's closure is going to be very, very critical. We're going to close the daily, 2-day, and 3-day all at the same time, and all of them pretty much have the relevant levels in the same area, 69.50. Above it, we probably rally up a little bit more into the mid to high 7,000s. Below it, time to shatter this bitch down to the ground. Looking at 2-day Stokes, we actually are headed up. So nice, not bad. I'd say that's more on the bullish side, of course. 2-day RSI, printing some bullish divergence here. Yes. But what else do we have to say about that? Yeah, so maybe we do get a test back up to 75.50. That would be the easy target on that one, to be fair. Let's see. What about the 3-day? What's 3-day saying right here? We do see 3-day Stokes still down but tired, so they're not they're not as aggressive as it would before. We do not see the same bullish divergence on 3-day RSI here. So I still think that it's very much up in the air here. If I had to guess, I do think that we close below the 200 simple and we will head further south. And the next target to the downside would be right around about 61.50-ish region. Probably a small bounce there, but I'd really look for continuation down to like 55-ish, give or take a few bucks. And then a potential reversal in that region, and then yes, likely continuation if that one fails to the mid 4,000s. So it's going to be a long market, man. I do not want to get swept up in the emotions of this market, also the delusion of this market from just one little day's move. Same thing as what happened in late October. And again, I want to put the spotlight on the monthly here. This is going to be absolutely critical for kind of judging the next sort of major easy plays, I suppose. But for right now, it's a waiting game, and tomorrow night's going to be the earliest time that we actually have, potential clarity on the situation. I think, and I mean, if you do want to be more aggressive than that, does it make sense to look at a lower time frame? Yeah, I suppose if we close another 12-hour below 69.50, that's probably going to be good enough for confirming significantly more downside. That'd probably be good enough. Yeah. Okay. So fair enough. Okay. What else do we have? Let's go back to CMEs. Sorry, all over the place today. CME still maintaining the downtrend very well on the 12-hour. Let's go to the daily. Daily has a death cross right here, a fresh death cross, by the way, and we just popped up to the 21 so far, rejecting from pretty damn well. Again, still maintaining the downtrend. I don't see too many new things here. Daily Stokes are looking a little bit tired, looking like they do want to kind of cross back up to the upside. And daily Jewel is actually switching around to potentially bullish posturing, but still kind of far away from giving a legitimate signal. Looking at daily RSI, we do have bullish divergence here, but I think the easy play on that one's already played out. I mean, we had to move all the way from 64 to 74 essentially. And historical volatility percentile on the daily here is actually crushed. So we're still trending here, and the expansion, if it's not going to come to the upside after a move like this, well, I think that's quite telling here. But again, none of this supersedes what I'm looking for tomorrow. That's the most important thing. Today's mostly like a throwaway day in my opinion, unless if we quite literally, close a daily above, let's call it like 75.50 or below 6,900. That range being broken would very, very likely lead on to the, would likely be good enough to take the next big play, I think. Looking at a 4-hour here on CMEs, not really seeing anything too different. Did get a decent buy signal on the Jewel, but I think that's already played out from 67 or 60. What was it? 60? Yeah, 68 to 74. Yeah, fair enough. Pretty damn good. Let's go see what GBTC is doing as well. How's GBTC doing here? Doing about the same thing. GBTC looks actually a little bit, yeah, I would actually argue that GBTC looks a little bit better than the other ones, funnily enough. But you can see that we are still being held below that breakdown point of this ascending triangle, which is coming in around 860-ish region. Historic volatility percentile is also absolutely crushed here, and we're not seeing the expansion coming to the upside. So, what does that make you think? I mean, it certainly makes you think quite a bit. Looking at the daily Stokes here, we are looking like we want to cross back up to the upside. So, it is a little bit bifurcated here. I don't think that there's an easy call today, but as long as we are below, especially all major moving averages, especially even the 21, which is well above price action right now, don't really have any reason to not be. Well, I don't really have any reason to be looking for a reversal here. Let's go check out. I'm curious how Bitcoin dominance operated on this one. I'm gonna imagine that Bitcoin dominance actually shot up during that move. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Are we hitting our 70 and a half target? No, not yet. Not yet, but we're getting there, and this is looking very, very good. This is exactly what we're looking for. We're seeing momentum also just turn up as the dominance turns up as well. One thing that I do feel very confident is that alts are going to be getting cream pied, a bouquet ceremony very soon, as we do see weekly Stokes crossing back up here. In fact, even holding the same trend line that we've been working off of since early 2018. Remember, early 2018, that's when alts saw their like major high, and I do believe that we're going to see some pretty nasty shit with alts. Going onwards and forwards here, looking at weekly RSI, we're still holding this trend line as well, and this is looking very bullish here. Looks like we want to get back into the bullish control zone and work its way up. Even the Jewel's like curling off this support right here and suggesting up as well. So all momentum also is pointing to the upside here on higher time frames. We didn't quite hit my first, well, close enough, man. I said 70.50 would be my first target. We got to 70.37, but I do think that ultimately this will get continuation up to about 71.5 and beyond. This is very bullish right here, very fucking bullish. I'm gonna imagine that Cardano is back down to the lower end of our range at around like 460. Yeah, 465, not bad. Low of the day, another lower high. Holy shit! Let's go look at all these fucking shit. Oh, sorry, all these great pieces of technology that are definitely not vaporware. No! No! Mr. Buterol, how dare you! Vitalik, would he ever sell 80,000 Buterols on your face at the ultimate high of fucking the 2017 run? Actually, in fact, he did, which was revealed in a podcast, recently. And price action right here. Wow, a downtrend. Is this a downtrend? It's like, yes, it's fucking downtrend. We have a death cross on the weekly, although I don't think it really matters because it's a little bit too new of an asset to really even populate the major movement averages on a weekly. Let's go down to a daily. Probably does have a short-term bounce here, actually. But ultimately, I do think that this comes back down to 0.0165 and probably lower than that over time. This is very nasty chart. Looking at Mrs. Litecoin, what's she doing? Holy shit! New lows! And it looks to me like we're trending still. I do think that our next potential area of bouncy bounce is right around here. Actually, just a little bit lower, 530,000 Satoshis to this region right here. Nice little liquid zone between there and about 480,000 Satoshis. Again, just another downtrend playing out. Most alts are looking very, very bad here. Stellar, what are we doing versus Bitcoin? Down. So alts are going to get very hurt here, I'd imagine. You know, if Bitcoin goes up, they're going to get hurt. If Bitcoin goes down, they're also going to get hurt. The Bitcoin dominance is fucking bullish, man. Been bullish on this for a long time, and I would continue to be bullish on it. But let's go look at the dollar pairings of this. Mr. Butyrol coming down into the area that we said was likely for a bouncy bounce at around a little bit below 120. Getting that bouncy bounce right now. Good. But is that enough? Maybe it gets another run back up to like 139 region. But again, whatever Bitcoin does, this one's going to mirror. If Bitcoin has a sustained reversal here, so will Butyrol. So will Mrs. Litecoin, which we'll look at right now. Same sort of thing, still below all major moving averages, still downtrending very, very difficult. Or sorry, very, very hard. We're seeing all major moving averages on a fucking weekly start to really migrate downwards. 21's crossing the 200s exponential and going to cross the 200 simple this next week. So as long as Mrs. Litecoin's below 61.25 from a long-term perspective, no reason in my opinion to be bullish. I'm not ever bullish on any asset that is below the 200 simple on a weekly closing base. Just one of the cut and dry rules. Doesn't mean that you can't have upside, of course. You know, you're gonna have some upside before you get there, duh. But from a long-term perspective, I would not call like major bull market until we're back above there, or it's just not even a top conversation until we get back above there. Yeah, but you know, same thing as Mr. Butyrol, looking good for a bounce within this region. If things get a little more crazy, probably up to the 21 at 44.25. But again, gonna do whatever Bitcoin does. Stellar, 4.5 cents. Actually, oh my god, man, it finally hit our fucking 4.5 cent target. Jesus Christ. Even got, oh my god, even closing below this on a weekly closing basis. Same thing, you know, on this one, just downtrend continuing. Fucking hell, man. What about Monero? Monero, same thing, but coming into that bounce area. Overall bearish, just as long as we're kind of still down below this breakdown point at 52.5. So we can rally up all the way there, test that region and still reject. So again, you know, things can float around today. Ripple, no, not Ripple, not Ripple. Down to our 19, what was this, like 18? No, 17.5 cent target right here. I don't know when the fuck I put this one in, but a long time ago. And again, as long as we're below 23.25 cent, very, very bearish, but probably bounces off here and goes sideways. I think that's going to be really the feeling of the market for the next like day or so at the very least, or 2 days. EOS, same thing. Neo, same thing. Tron, same thing. New lows actually on Tron, so maybe worse. So yeah, man, you know, they're just going to likely mirror whatever Bitcoin does. You know, there's probably going to be a few one-offs here and there, but for the most part, if Bitcoin continues to bounce, so will they. If Bitcoin does not, they likely want it as well. Looking at traditional markets really quick, looking like we might be setting up for a little bit of a pullback here. I still think that overall, there's no reason to not be bullish on stock market until at the very least we violate 315. But really, that's not good enough for the macro. The macro starts to change around a little bit below, let's call it 310. And this is quite bullish here. So I don't have any real reason to not be bullish on the stock market. Unless the monthly is phenomenally bullish right here. This continuation, this whole like repo markets that are being done is basically like quantitative easing all over again. So quantitative ease these green dildos into your bungholes, traditional market bears. Again, I know that crypto anarchists hate this shit, but I can understand the cognitive dissonance that you must go through when this is rallying to the all-time highs and your beautiful hedge of Bitcoin is not. You know, and again, this is coming from someone who likes Bitcoin, but it's a difficult one, man. You know, this is the market that never goes down. Let's see. What about gold? Let's go check out gold really quick, and then we'll do a couple Forex, and we'll wrap up Bitcoin. Gold looks like it probably pops back up to 1480, 1485 region. Weekly's kind of in limbo, still sideways. Not really anything too interesting there. What about pound yen? Ooh, we did not get the bounce off the area that I was looking for, but it's still within this territory. I do think that overall we actually are setting a major lower high here, and hidden bearish divergence on a weekly is going to play out. But I do think that lower time frames actually do bounce here. So between today and tomorrow, probably have a little bit of a bounce, and then coming into next week, I'd actually be looking for this coming all the way back down to like 140 and probably below. What about euro dollar? Got 111. Still going to have a chance to reverse, but I need to see a weekly close above 111.7, and then I could target a move up here towards 113, 113 and a half, perhaps even beyond there. And what about Dixie? Where's my good old Dixie? Dollar is looking good for a continuation of bounce as well on a weekly, probably back up to like 97. Although we're kind of already there. I believe we spoke about that move likely happening yesterday, and we're kind of getting that right now. I do think that we can continuation a little bit higher in this region. If we do see a daily closing anywhere above 97.7, I would be even more so bullish, looking for it to crawl back up to like 98.4 region, 98.5, somewhere in this region right here. Overall, we've held off valiantly off the 377 once again, and you know, I don't really have a reason to be bearish on this one until we actually start having opens and closes below that region, of which we've still failed to do. So back on a Bitcoin. Wow, it's already been a 45-minute video, and let's go down to the lower time frames. So again, the next 2-day and 3-day close supersedes everything I'm about to say right here. But if I had to focus on the lower time frames just for some fun today, what I would say is, as long as we are closing 4-hour dildos below the 200 simple and 200 exponential moving average, we are working off of lower highs on even the lower time frames, and we're likely to play out hidden bearish divergence and bring us back down to about 69.50. If 69.50 gets closed below on, let's say, like a 12-hour or a daily, I would say that would be good enough to supersede what's going on with the closes tomorrow, and they're probably just going to follow anyways, and I'd be looking for a move back down here to about 6,600 and probably beyond to 61, 6,200-ish region. So for right now, you know, if Bitcoin, sorry, and let me talk about the upside as well. If Bitcoin were to regain this 4-hour 200 simple on a 4-hour dildo closing basis at the very least, then then I would target a move towards about 77, 7,800-ish region, and that's going to start to look a lot better on the 2-day, 3-day, and upcoming weekly and likely monthly as well. And we could talk about a move into like the mid to low 8,000s very likely. But for right now, I am overall bearish because we're still maintaining the downtrend, and the trend is your friend, man. Or if you let it be. Sometimes not so much. But yeah, that's going to do it for right now. I'm going to be signing off now. I'll be signing on to Twitch. I'll probably post it on maybe like Twitter or something like that. But I'm also very terrible at remembering to do such things. So fair enough, man. I'll leave the link in the description of this video, and I'll call it right there. As always, wish you a very nice and healthy start to your day, profitable day as well, and peaceful perhaps as you know, even more importantly. It's dark as fuck over here in Helsinki, but it's good enough for gaming, man. So take care, and until next time.